was a small builder and contractor in Jackson, Mississippi on August 29th, 2005 when Hurricane Katrina came ashore and changed most of Mississippi's lives, changed the way we were living. And I had just put out some portfolios around town of some of the work that I'd done. I had decided that I wanted to work with particular architects, and Michael Branco was one of those folks that I'd put a portfolio out to. He called me up and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about your work. Let's meet in a couple weeks. A lot's going on right now, but let's get together and talk." Great. That was encouraging. He called me back that afternoon and said, "Can you meet tomorrow? We've got something that's fast moving." Okay, so I run in and sit down with him, and he folds these plans out, and it was, elevations of this little cottage. So Branco calls me back, and he had said the project's yours, and I'd gone and talked to Andy, my partner, and we were excited about it. I remember I pitched it to Andy and said, "Now, Andy, if we do this, we're going to get to meet Steve Muzon and Andreas Duani." And that was the carrot for us. If we could just meet them, maybe get their autograph or something, I don't know. And we had long been fans and been reading some of the stuff that carpenters might read about planning and how to do things right. So we started work on the cottage in December, and we had laid it out, the time that we had to get it done. And at the time, we really didn't understand the implications of what we were doing. We didn't understand what might come of it later. We just knew we had to do it very quickly, and it was an all-or-none situation. Had to be done for the International Builder Show in Orlando, set up, spick and span, pretty and polished by some drop-dead date. And it was like January 12th or something, I believe it was. And so we were working on a timeline that was not movable. And we worked through the holidays. And I think we took Christmas Day off that year. And I think most everybody really just stayed at home and rested. And we were back the next day. And so we got it done. And I remember the first time Mary Ann showed up with the plans for the house, for the little cottage. It had she showed up. She had finished the construction drawings, and she had flown down and hand delivered them, and we had it framed. So we had framed it off of elevations with no dimensions or anything. We were basically, that looks like an 8 and 12 pitch or whatever it was, and we had to build it in such a way that the roof was removable, and you could take it off and fold it up. It had to be under these certain heights. We didn't know what kind of trailer we were going to send it on, and it was just kind of a lot of balls in the air, but we finally got them all to land. And so we went to the Builder Show in Florida, and it stole the show. And that's the annual big show where all the folks all in the building industry roll out their new products and all of that. And it just absolutely stole the show. We were getting media attention nationwide. All the big newspapers across the nation, and then all the big trade journals had a blurb on it, or had some write-up. And FEMA started thinking about how they ought to do travel trailers differently, and then it was kind of like a snowball going downhill. It attracted more and more attention, and folks kept getting louder about how travel trailers were not a good alternative for big disasters. And at some point, through the work of the governor and Senator Cochran and Lott and some other folks, there was an appropriation by FEMA to build a bunch of these. And we found ourselves in a competition with Louisiana, Alabama, Texas. And I'd gone to work in the governor's office at that point, working with Fred Carl, who was volunteering his time as a housing coordinator. He had housing experience, and we really just had a lot of executives post-Katrina volunteering their time and talents. And I was working with him, and then we designed these cottages for our submission to FEMA, the ones that you'll see across the back that went into production. The outcome of the competition was Mississippi ended up with 280 million of the 400 million that was available. And you know, really, obviously enough, sitting here now, obviously enough, the idea and concept had started here, and I think FEMA saw that in the applications. And with that 280 million, we built nearly 3,000 cottages. We've deployed them. We've taken them back in. Some of them have been set permanently, as you see across the back of Cottage Square. They've been deployed a second time for a second disaster. When the Yazoo City hurricane or tornado happened this past spring, we actually, MEMA was able to take some of these cottages and deploy them up there, which really was the full circle of what we were pitching all along of, you know, these are reusable and they work for a long period of time. They're transition, you know, they serve a transitional housing piece because you can move them. You know, they were built to two codes, the HUD code and the MOD code, which allows you to transport, you know, among jurisdictions, and it allows you to say to the local building official, this is built to the highest building code, the MOD code. That dual coding thing was kind of unique and often overlooked in one of the things that we were able to implement there. So I think what I hope comes of this is that as a model, as the nation responds, you know, as FEMA in particular responds to disasters going forward, we really think about how we can put out transitional housing or temporary housing in a way that is going to be a better use of the government's resources. We've proven here that these cottages can go out and stay permanent if you're actually serving the needs of somebody that's low income, that you're going to wind up coming in and helping from a housing perspective. On the other hand, why not help them with the transitional housing that can go permanent? For some folks, these cottages can become auxiliary dwellings, like it was always talked about. We've taken some of these cottages and paired them up and put a breezeway in between them, and so they become a bigger dwelling. Most of the concepts that were talked about early have been executed now, and we can show that. So they're really, and when you do a case study of what it costs to put a travel trailer out, maintain it, what you pay the contractors to maintain it month to month, and then to pull it again, and then you compare that against what you can have a cottage much like what we built in Mississippi, the Mississippi cottages, it really makes sense to do the cottages.